is the ViewSonic LS921WU actually good for? Who should walk away? And does the price make sense for a regular household that just wants movie nights without turning the living room into a home theater showroom? Those are the questions that keep most buyers up at night, especially when a projector promises 6,000 lumens, short-throw laser power and a host of pro features that sound great on paper but can feel overwhelming in a real apartment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break down the everyday experience so you can decide if this model fits your space, your content habits, and your budget. First off, the biggest source of hesitation with any projector is the setup. A short-throw laser unit sounds perfect for small rooms because you can sit a few feet away and still get a 100-inch image, but the reality is that you still need a clear wall, a darkish environment and a bit of patience to get the geometry right. The LS921WU gives you a 1.1x optical zoom and a digital zoom that stretches from 0.8x to 2.0x, plus horizontal and vertical keystone correction. In practice, that means you can mount it on a low shelf, a ceiling bracket or even a tripod on a coffee table and still square the picture without endless manual fiddling. I tested it in a 12-foot living room with a light gray wall and a couple of floor lamps on. After roughly 5 minutes of fine-tuning using the on-screen menu, the image filled the wall cleanly, no trapezoid distortion, and the colors looked vivid enough that I didn't feel compelled to turn off all the ambient light. That quick adjustment is a real strength for families with kids or for people who move apartments often. The advanced LAN control lets you fire up the projector from a phone app or a smart home hub, so you don't have to climb up to a ceiling mount every time you want to binge a series. The dual HDMI inputs are also a lifesaver if you want to switch between a gaming console and a streaming stick without unplugging cables. In my testing, swapping from a PlayStation 5 to a Roku took less than 2 seconds, and the projector remembered the last picture settings for each source, which cuts down on the "why is the image too dark" moments that frustrate casual users. Now, let's talk brightness. The 6,000 lumen rating is impressive, but it's measured with a laser light source that behaves differently than a traditional lamp. In a dimly lit room, the picture looked like a true cinema screen, deep blacks, punchy reds, and the HDR support really made bright scenes pop. When I opened the blinds and let in daylight from a north-facing window, the image stayed readable, but the whites lost some of that electric pop and you could see a faint gray veil. That's not a deal-breaker for most home theater folks, but if you plan to use the projector as a primary TV in a bright living space, you'll either need blackout curtains or you'll have to accept a slight compromise on peak brightness. One of the standout niche features is the built-in golf mode. It's essentially a color profile that boosts the green spectrum to make virtual golf simulations feel more realistic. I tried it with a popular golf game, and the greens indeed looked richer, which can be a fun perk for the small but vocal community of indoor golfers. If you're not into that, the mode is just an extra menu option that you can ignore without affecting the overall picture quality. On the downside, the LS921WU isn't a perfect fit for every budget. The laser light source gives it a longer lifespan than a lamp, think 20,000 hours, but the unit itself lands in the higher price bracket of home theater projectors. For someone who only wants occasional movie nights, a lower lumens, DLP projector might deliver a decent picture for a fraction of the cost. Also, the built-in speakers are modest. They're okay for dialogue, but you'll want a soundbar or a proper AV receiver for immersive audio. That's a hidden extra cost that many first-time buyers overlook. Another practical consideration is the physical footprint. While it's a short throw, the projector is still about the size of a small laptop and needs a stable surface or a secure ceiling mount. In my apartment, the only viable spot was a sturdy bookshelf, and I had to clear a few inches around it for airflow. The manual stresses proper ventilation, and a couple of users on forums have mentioned that if you trap the unit against a wall without a gap, the fan can get louder after an hour of continuous use. So if your room is cramped, plan for a bit of breathing room behind the device. If you're a gamer, you'll appreciate the designed for fast-paced content claim. The laser light source and the projector's internal processing handle rapid motion without the ghosting that can plague older lamp-based models. I ran a fast-shooting first-person shooter for an hour straight, and the image stayed crisp, the colors stayed consistent, and there was no noticeable lag between the console.